Good morning, everyone. We're going to spend some time exploring something that's all around us, yet often goes unnoticed: the native trees of California. These trees aren't just background scenery, they're the foundation of our ecosystems. They tell the story of the land's history, and they've been central to human life here for thousands of years. Whether you're up north among the redwoods or right here in Southern California under the shade of a coastal live oak, native trees connect everything: wildlife, people, and place. Let's start with what we mean by native. When we say a tree's native, we mean it's evolved here. It's part of the local landscape, shaped by California's soils, climate, and fire cycles. A perfect example is the valley oak, Quercus lobata. It's found only in California, nowhere else in the world, and it's the largest of all our native oaks. Some valley oaks can live for hundreds of years and reach over 100 feet tall. They used to line the Central Valley and coastal valleys in incredible numbers, forming open woodlands that supported huge amounts of wildlife. Down here in Southern California, one of the most common native trees you'll see is the coastal live oak, Quercus agrifolia. This is the evergreen oak with dark green spiny leaves that you'll find growing along canyons, foothills, and coastal slopes. It's an amazing survivor. It tolerates drought, poor soil, and coastal fog. Beneath its canopy, you'll often find an entire community of life: lichens, fungi, insects, birds, squirrels, and deer. Many birds, like the acorn woodpecker and scrub jay, depend on its acorns for food, and in return, they help spread the seeds. And we can't forget about the blue oak, Quercus douglasii. It's the most drought-tolerant of our oaks, often growing on the dry, rocky hillsides of the Sierra foothills. Scientists have found that blue oaks host more than 50 different species of gall wasps, tiny insects that create those little round galls you sometimes see on the leaves and twigs. Each of those wasps has evolved alongside that tree. That's a great reminder that even a single native tree is like a world of its own, supporting countless smaller lives. Of course, not all of California's native trees are oaks. 3 notable California native trees beyond the oaks are the California buckeye, big leaf maple, and white alder. The California buckeye has long been part of indigenous traditions. Its toxic seeds were leached and used as food source in times of scarcity, and its ground seeds were also placed in streams to temporarily stun fish, an important and widespread native Californian fishing technique. The big leaf maple, valued for its strong yet workable wood, was used by tribes such as the Yurok and Karuk for tools, cooking implements, and ceremonial objects. Its sap was also occasionally collected as a sweetener. The white alder, common along waterways, was prized for its straight, workable branches used in tools, its bark for dyes, and its role as a nitrogen-fixing tree that enriched riparian environments central to many tribal communities. If you head into desert areas of Southern California, you'll find California fan palms, Washingtonia filifera. They're the only palm species native to the western United States, and they grow naturally in desert oases where underground springs provide just enough water. Indigenous people, like the Cahuilla and Serrano, use the palm's fruit for food and the fronds for weaving and roofing. These palms have been here for thousands of years, long before ornamental palms were planted across Los Angeles. Together, these trees illustrate the deep interdependence between California's ecosystems and the cultural practices of native peoples who relied on them for material, food, and ceremony. Now, when we talk about native trees, it's not just about recognizing their beauty or toughness. It's about understanding how much life depends on them. In California's oak woodlands, scientists estimate that over 5,000 species of insects and arachnids live among the trees. Think about that, 5,000 species connected to these woodlands. The branches shelter birds. The acorns feed mammals like deer and squirrels. The roots form partnerships with underground fungi that help them draw in nutrients and water. When you stand under an old oak, you're standing in the middle of an entire living network. And these trees aren't just ecologically important, they're culturally central too. Long before European settlement, Indigenous people across California relied on native trees for food, tools, and shelter. The acorns from oaks were staple food for most tribes. In fact, some historians estimate that up to 3/4 of California's native people included acorns as a main part of their diet. The Tongva, Chumash, and Quiche Gabrielanos people in Southern California gathered acorns each year, leached out the tannins, and ground them into flour to make a kind of nutritious meal or bread. This wasn't just about food. It was part of a cultural rhythm tied to the seasons and the land. You can still see reminders of that relationship in the landscape today. Place names like Encino, which means little oak in Spanish, come directly from the coastal live oak trees that once filled those valleys. Towns like Encinitas up the coast share the same root word. The names themselves tell you that these trees shaped not just ecosystems, but language and settlement patterns. Unfortunately, as the state developed through agriculture, logging, and urban growth, many of these native tree communities were lost. Large stretches of valley oak woodland were cleared in the 19th and 20th centuries, and some species are now much less common than they once were. Urbanization, fire suppression, and invasive species have all played a role, but the good news is that awareness is growing. Organizations, cities, and restoration groups are working to bring native trees back into both wild and urban settings. That's where we come in, as arborists, as tree professionals, and as stewards of the land. Understanding native trees isn't just academic, it's practical. When we select a tree for planting, it's worth asking, is this species adapted to this site? Does it belong here? A native oak planted in its proper soil and climate will usually need less water, less fertilizer, and will support more wildlife than a non-native alternative. And when we care for these trees, we have to remember what they're adapted to. Many native trees, especially oaks, evolved with long dry summers and seasonal fires. They don't like heavy irrigation or compacted soil around their roots. So our job is to work with their natural strengths, not against them. There's also something deeply meaningful about choosing native trees. When you plant a coastal live oak in a Southern California park or backyard, you're restoring a piece of the landscape's original character. You're giving back to the pollinators, the birds, the fungi, and the soil that evolved here. And in a way, you're connecting with the people who cared for these trees centuries before us. So think about this. A tree is never just a tree. It's a bridge between the past and the future, between people, wildlife, and land itself. California's native trees remind us that ecology and culture are inseparable. Every acorn, every leaf, Every palm frond carries that story.